What is rationalism? Rationalism is any philosophical view that regards reason, as opposed to sense experience or religious doctrine, as the source of knowledge or justification. It argues that some propositions are knowable by us by intuition alone, such as, for example, 3 is greater than 2. Intuition here refers to our ability to acquire knowledge, without recourse to conscious reasoning or needing an explanation. Other propositions, on the other hand, are knowable by being deduced through valid arguments from intuited propositions. For example, if 3 is greater than 2, and 3 is a prime number, therefore, there is a prime number greater than 2. Take note that rationalist positions can range from the moderate view, that reason has precedence over other ways of acquiring knowledge, to the radical view, that reason is the only source of knowledge. Rationalism is based on the idea that reality has a rational structure, and that all its aspects can be grasped through mathematical and logical principles, and not simply through sensory experience. Also, that the mind, rather than being a tabula rasa, or a blank slate to be imprinted with sense data, is structured by and responds to mathematical and logical methods of reasoning. Key ideas. Rationalists adopt at least one of 3 main arguments. Number 1. Intuition deduction. According to rationalists, some propositions are knowable by us by intuition alone, while others are knowable by being deduced from intuited propositions. Intuition is a priori knowledge, or knowledge that is independent of experience, while deduction is the process of reasoning from one or more general premises to a logically certain conclusion. Together, intuition and deduction can be used to arrive at a priori knowledge, such as in our example earlier, that there is a prime number greater than 2. Some rationalists take intuition as infallible, while others allow for the possibility of false intuited propositions. Some claim that only mathematics can be knowable by intuition and deduction, while some include ethical truths like keeping one's promises. More radical rationalists maintain that metaphysical claims, like the existence of God, the duality of mind and body, etc., are also included within the range of intuition and deduction. Number 2. Innate knowledge. Rationalists argue that we have knowledge of some truths in a particular subject area, as part of our innate rational nature. The innate knowledge thesis is similar to the intuition deduction thesis, in that both claim that knowledge is gained a priori. The two, however, differ in describing how that knowledge is acquired. According to the innate knowledge thesis, that knowledge is simply part of our rational nature. Yes, experiences may trigger a process by which we bring this knowledge to consciousness, but experiences themselves do not provide us with this knowledge, which has been with us all along. Some rationalists claim that we acquired this innate knowledge in an earlier existence, some that God provided us with it at creation, and others that it is part of our nature through natural selection. And number 3, innate concepts. Lastly, rationalists claim that we have some of the concepts we employ in a particular subject area, as part of our innate rational nature. Although some philosophers, such as John Locke, would argue that the innate knowledge thesis and the innate concept thesis are the same, many rationalists, however, maintain their distinction. According to these rationalists, in addition to innate knowledge, some concepts are simply part of our rational nature. Such concepts are a result of mental processes and are a priori in nature. Nevertheless, sense experience can help bring these concepts to our conscious mind. An example would be our ideas of perfection. We are aware that we have some idea of perfection within us, even though we haven't, and perhaps will never experience anything perfect in the world. Rationalism and empiricism. Rationalism is contrasted with empiricism, the view that the source of all knowledge is a posteriori, or sense perception and experience. Rationalism is commonly referred to as continental rationalism, because it was predominant in the continental schools of Europe, especially in France and Germany, while British empiricism dominated in Britain. The distinction between rationalism and empiricism, however, is perhaps not as clear-cut as is sometimes suggested. Indeed, such distinction would probably not have even been recognized by the Enlightenment rationalist and empiricist philosophers. For example, the 3 main rationalists, Descartes, Spinoza, and Leibniz, were all committed to the importance of empirical science. Likewise, in many respects, the empiricists such as Hobbes, Locke, and Hume were closer to Descartes in their methods and metaphysical theories. Rationalism, a brief history. While the roots of rationalism may go back to the ancient Greek Eleatics and Pythagoreans, or at least to Socrates, Plato, Aristotle and the Neoplatonists, its definitive formulation, however, was not until the 17th century Enlightenment philosophers. René Descartes is one of the earliest and perhaps best-known proponents of rationalism. He believed that knowledge of eternal truths, such as mathematics and the epistemological and metaphysical foundations of the sciences, could be attained by reason alone, without the need for any sense experience. For instance, his famous dictum, "I think, therefore I am," is a conclusion reached a priori, and not through an inference from experience. Descartes held that some innate ideas come from God, while other ideas are derived from sensory experience, and still others are created by the imagination. Of these, the only ideas which are certainly valid according to him are those which are innate. Baruch Spinoza expanded upon Descartes' rationalism. His philosophy relied on his notion that God is the only absolute substance, and that substance is composed of two attributes, thought and extension. He believed that all aspects of the natural world, including man, were modes of the eternal substance of God, and can therefore only be known through reason. Gottfried Leibniz attempted to correct the problems not settled by Descartes, by combining the philosopher's work with Aristotle's notion of form, and his own conception of the universe as composed of monads. He believed that ideas exist in the intellect innately, but only in a virtual sense, and it is only when the mind reflects on itself that those ideas are actualized. Immanuel Kant started as a traditional rationalist, having studied Leibniz and Christian Wolff. After studying the empiricist David Hume, however, he developed his own distinctive and very influential rationalism, which attempted to synthesize the traditional rationalist and empiricist traditions. Criticisms. Critics argue that rationalism is limited in its ability to explain certain types of knowledge, such as knowledge of the natural world, which is based on empirical observation and experimentation. Moreover, they claim that rationalism can lead to dogmatism, as it emphasizes the importance of innate ideas that are not subject to empirical verification. If you like our content, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our channel for more videos. Thank you, and see you in our next one.